I don't want to speak about my hair. Never let a drunk man cut your hair. Once a year, when my seasonal depression kicks in around October, I decide to watch every Harry Potter movie. I am a ridiculous Harry Potter fan. I got my wand, I got my Legos, I have clothes. It's embarrassing. Then they did a 20-year reunion this year, so I have now watched all 8 movies about 3 times in the last 6 months. And I've really started to realize
that there's a lot of issues.
I love these movies. I think they're very well done. I think that they're very enjoyable for people of all ages. And I think that they're a great escape for people to get lost in the world of Hogwarts. But there are serious plot holes in these stories. And there's also ridiculously valuable information that is missing. I have read all of the books. Sometimes when I'm watching these movies, I sit there and realize if you have never read these books, how do you even understand what's going on sometimes? I have serious questions, JK. Where is Sirius and Harry's relationship? Why does no one have control over the dragons in Goblet of Fire? Why do you hate trans people? Things of the like. I know that I'm not the first person to bring up these issues. I will not be the last. I know that I'm going to miss a whole bunch of crap in this. And there's going to be a bunch of other plot holes and things. But I can't pack every single plot hole in Harry Potter into one video. So
get over it.
Right off the bat, in the first film, the Dursleys are so against Harry going to Hogwarts.
He'll not be going.
Oh, and I suppose a great muggle like yourself's going to stop him, are you?
Muggle?
Non-magic folk. This boy's had his name down ever since you were born. He's going to the finest school of witchcraft and wizardry in the world, and he will be under the finest headmaster that Hogwarts has ever seen, Albus Dumbledore.
I will not pay to have some crackpot old fool teach him magic tricks.
Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me.
Don't they hate him? Why would... It's a boarding school. He's gonna be out of your hair for 6 to 8 months out of the year. My bigger issue is Mr. Dursley directly says, I'm not paying for this. Hogwarts is a private school? Are there public school options? Look at the Weasleys. They have 7 kids. They sent all of their kids to private school? How do you afford this? What's the public school option here? How do I send my kid to wizard school for free? Also, it's implied, especially since it's a private school, that you have to apply to this school. Hogwarts reached out to Harry saying, hey, you've been accepted to Hogwarts. Isn't that a little bit unfair that Harry didn't have to apply? And they just said, you're in. Seems like favoritism to me. Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite book in this entire series. And the movie, as a movie, is a good movie. But there's just so much missing. This is where I start to get heated. They never explain that Harry's dad and Lupin and Sirius and the other guy, the worm guy,
Peter Pettigrew.
They never explain that they made the Marauders map in the movies. They also never explain the whole plot point of why Sirius and James and Peter were animaguses to begin with. They never explain about how Lupin was a werewolf and then his 3 BFFs were like, we'll become animals too so then we can hang out with you while you're a werewolf. The relationship between Harry and Sirius is practically non-existent. They don't really give them the time that they had in the books to bond and connect and become godfather and godson. And it's sad. They deserve better. Prisoner of Azkaban also has some weird plot hole issues. They always talk about how Wormtail, like, all that was left of him when Sirius Black killed him was his pinky finger. My ass. In the movies, he's always missing his ring finger. Come on, JK, get it together. That might not totally be her fault. It feels like a movie issue, but I'm gonna blame her anyway. Next, Harry has like a whole Quidditch debacle where like his broom like breaks into little splintery little pieces, and he's like devastated about this, and he's like, oh my gosh. And like in the book he has to use like a school broom and stuff. His bank account, his vault at Gringotts is like loaded with gold. Why didn't he just buy a new broom? He's rich enough. This whole movies are like always him like low-key flexing his money to Ron whenever like the candy trolley comes around on the train. He's like, we'll take every piece of candy you have. Thank you. And Ron's like, I'll just eat my soggy tuna fish sandwich. And Harry's like, I got it, buddy.
We'll take the lot. Whoa.
Couldn't he just buy a new broom? What the hell? It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
This class is ridiculous.
Also, at the end of Prisoner of Azkaban, Sirius sends Harry a new broom. How did Sirius afford that? He's literally on the run from the law. Did he steal it? Like, hello, well, where did he get this money from? He's been in Azkaban for 13 years. He hasn't been making money for 13 years. Where'd that money come from to buy the newest, latest, and greatest in broomstick technology? That thing was probably like $100. $100? Okay, it was not $100. It was probably like $500. Ridiculous. This is the plot hole that sparked my want to make this entire video. In Order of the Phoenix, at the beginning of the film, Harry fights off 2 Dementors. Instantly, like within 20 minutes, the school sends him a letter being like, listen, bud, you can't do magic outside of school because you're under 17.
You are hereby expelled from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Hoping you are well, Mafalda Hopkirk.
Okay, fine. That's how you want to work the laws. That's great. Prisoner of Azkaban literally starts, the first scene in the movie is Harry Potter doing magic at home. This man, this boy, is 2 years younger than he was when he got expelled from Hogwarts for fighting off Dementors because he was underage, and he's practicing doing a spell in his bedroom at home. So that's allowed? How do they keep track of it? Couldn't he have just said, oh, well, I was just practicing Expecto Patronum. You don't know my life. That seems like him almost getting expelled from Hogwarts is like a major plot point. How did someone overlook that at the beginning of Prisoner of Azkaban? Okay, Goblet of Fire, sit down, because I got a lot of problems with you. Goblet of Fire was my least favorite book, I'm going to be totally honest, but it's one of my favorite movies. But there's just so much. There's just so much wrong. First off, couldn't Harry have performed the Accio broomstick spell for the maze at the end of Goblet of Fire and just like flown over the maze and like looked down and been like, oh shit, there's that cup, let me go down and grab that? Like, why was that allowed in the first task but not the second task? Also, so the dragon task, which is the first task of the Triwizard Tournament, had pretty good audience viewing. They were like in a stadium thing, which first off feels super dangerous. This dragon's just breathing fire all over the damn place. Whatever, at least people could see what was going on. The second one, where they go in the lake, occurs entirely underwater, and yet the entire school showed up to watch it. Watch what? Watch the water sit there and make little waves? And then the third one, the entire school, again, has shown up at the front of the maze, and then the 4 people go into the maze, And then everyone watches what? The bushes flap in the breeze? I would be kind of pissed. As just your average everyday student at Hogwarts, I'd be like, what the hell, man? Like, I can't even see anything. Like, can we at least hook some GoPros up to these kids or something? Like, get some Jumbotrons in here? Come on. It's ridiculous. Like, you're magical beings, for God's sakes. We couldn't figure out something else? Some sort of system so that the people could see what the hell was going on? It is the 4th year that Harry Potter's been at this school, and the Triwizard Tournament has never been mentioned. How often does it happen? Does it happen every year, but, like, there's so many schools that, like, Hogwarts is not involved every year? Like, how do you decide what schools are involved? Why are the 2 other schools that come an exclusively female and exclusively male school? What is happening? Also, why does Harry have to compete? The people are like, it's a legal, magical contract when your name comes out of the Goblet of Fire. Okay, change the rules? What, is he gonna die? What happens if he doesn't compete? Hi, it's me, and I'm editing. And I just realized that I completely skipped over one of my most major problems that I have with these movies, and that is that in the graveyard at the end of Goblet of Fire, Wormtail kills Cedric, and then for the next 4 movies, everyone talks about how Voldemort killed Cedric. No, he didn't. Literally, just watch the clip.
Who are you? What do you want? Kill the spare!
Avada Kedavra!
No!
How did this go unnoticed? How did this go through hundreds of people and several layers of editing and no one said, hey, yo, everyone's talking about how Cedric was killed by Voldemort, but he wasn't. Okay, that's all. Back to me. I have one last problem. And I know I didn't even touch upon Order of the Phoenix or Deathly Hallows or Half-Blood Prince. I know I skipped like half the films. Maybe I'll make a part 2 to this. But my last issue that I want to talk about today is at the end of all the movies, they don't actually mention this in the films, but in the books at least, Harry is an Auror. And my question is, how the hell did he become an Auror? First off, the kid does about 2 spells throughout the whole thing. He knows Expelliarmus and Expecto Patronum. Second off, most of his years at school were like completely demolished by like extenuating circumstances. So like he didn't do final exams half the time. His owls, he like admits in one of the movies and in the books that he didn't score very well on his owls. And also, he didn't even frickin' graduate. He left after his 6th year. He didn't even do his last year of school. Are there no like job requirements? I understand that he had real world experience of saying Expelliarmus to Voldemort and other Death Eaters. Did they not require at least like a diploma, like proving like I graduated from school? Like, did he go back to school? Did he learn more spells? Is he good at magic now? Like, what are the job requirements to be an Auror? Because clearly they're not very much, even though it seems like a pretty intensive job. He just pulled that out of his ass, I guess. I don't know, man. That full circle moment seems like favoritism. Thank you for listening to me rant about this. I really do love these movies. I really do love these books. Harry Potter is amazing. But I guess all that's left to say is...
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
I hate myself.